Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to my small YouTube channel where I talk about knitting. My name is Isabelle and I am in France. I have 3 sons and I have 3 cats. Some say it's related. And I'm bringing you this podcast in English because I miss talking in English. I used to live in the United States, but that was 30 years ago. And I miss my English. So this is an opportunity for me to talk in English at least once a week, or maybe sometime twice a week, as this week. So on my YouTube channel, I have several series. You've just maybe seen one. My last video was about my yarn no by year adventure or project. Today is going to be a woolly news series where I'm talking about all the news that in the fiber and knitting community that have caught my attention. I'm not a journalist, so it's just my own take on what's happening, and it's what prompted me to start this YouTube channel last summer, because I was looking for that kind of information, maybe also so that kind of entertainment, and I could not find it, so I started it. And I have another series about my own knitting adventures that is on a very more regular podcast, knitting podcast format, what I'm working on, what I finished, and what I bought. This year is going to be, I think, very, very small segment of the podcast. But anyway, but on a more regular format, as you can see everywhere else. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe and please stay tuned. Okay, I have several news or several things I'd like to talk about today. 2 patterns I would like to talk about, a tutorial and a new word for me. It may not be a new word for you, but it was a new word for me. And some interviews I have seen that I think are very, very interesting and a joyful moment. 2 interviews and one interview and a Nicknight. A podcast that I've seen that were some news that made me happy, and a book release, and I think that's gonna be it. Okay. First, the patterns. When I saw that pattern, honestly, I did not know about it before. It was released sometime in 2020 in a Pom Pom magazine. I think it was Pom Pom number 35 at the end of the year 2020. And I missed it. It did not catch my attention, but this time around it caught my attention because one of my favorite designers, her name is Olga Buraya Kefelian. She's Olga Jazz in many places. Posted it on her, I think it was on her Instagram or somewhere, or mailing list. I think it was on her mailing list. But anyway, she, at the end of 2020, she released the pattern with Stephen West. They co-designed the pattern, and the pattern is the Kinship Shawl. Another monster shawl, very Stephen West in the way the color of placement have been made, but also very Olga. The pattern is just stunning. A big shawl. I think it comes in 2 sizes, but the one that are presented are the big. This is the size of the Sleep Extravaganza and all these series of shawls. And she posted it because for the first time you can buy it as an individual pattern on Ravelry. And she gave a little story about that. When they co-designed, they became Stolga for Steven and Olga to create the pattern, and I thought it was a nice story. Anyway, if you have, or if you subscribe to the mailing list, there is a code. So I will leave you subscribing to her mailing list, and then you can get the shawl for 20% off. I don't know for how long, but anyway, I have the Sleep Extravaganza in my queue, so I'm not sure I'm going to place another big shawl, a big project like that in my queue, but you know, you may like it, and it may, you know, reach or find its way to your own knitting queue. Okay, and next pattern, I said I was going to promote a free pattern. I was going to try to promote a free pattern in every of these Woolly News series. Because if you are like me on a no-buy year, you need ideas to knit your stash. And last year's pattern was quite a bit complicated and difficult pattern, at least from what I've seen, because I did not knit it, so I can give you any feedback on it, but it's in my list of things I would like to knit. This week is going to be a much easier pattern, and honestly, I had it in my library, this free pattern, but I looked for a pattern that was sort of like that. It's a caul that you can knit, and it makes two big like leaves. I printed a picture, and I found other ones that I had placed in my queue, thinking I would like to knit some of my remaining yarns I would like to knit a pattern like that with some of the yarn that remained from other projects. And when I looked at the file on my computer, I downloaded it in February 2020, so I've had it for a long time. And even though I looked for something like that, I did not find it. Why did I see it? It's just because one of the, I think it was Irene from the 3-Ply podcast, one of the beautiful ladies from the 3-Ply podcast, that had knitted it, and I said, oh, that's what I want to knit at some point. I looked for the pattern she was talking about. I found it in my library. I found the file on my computer. Okay, so I have it, and I've placed it in my queue. Sorry, I did not say what it was. It's a Miss Marple scarf. And from Susan S. Vivi, I've already talked about her other patterns from her. And I think it's a very feminine kind of scarf that you can knit with not much yarn. It doesn't require much yarn. If you have a small leftover, I think you can knit it. I think you can adapt for any kind of gauge, just without making much calculations, because it's easy to change the gauge whenever it's for a scarf. Not a big shawl, but for a scarf, I think it's okay. So it can, I'm sure it can be knitted with a wide range of yarns. So, okay, so that's the free pattern. And once again, I realized I haven't talked about what I was wearing. This is a wool sweater, but it's a commercial one that has been, I guess, machine knitted somewhere in France, I think. And I'm wearing my Elvon shawl that my sons, if you've already been here, you know, my sons gifted me the yarn and the pattern Christmas 2020, so that was a year ago, and I knitted it, and I love very much wearing it because it's a bit of them that I carry with me whenever I wear it. So there's that. Okay, so that was the Miss Maple scarf. Okay, now it's halfway between a tutorial and a new word of the day for me. And when I wrote that a new word of the day, it reminded me when I was in the United States, when I first arrived in the lab. All the other postdocs, I was barely talking English. All of the other postdocs helped me learn and talking in English because I could read, I could mostly understand, but I could not talk because I wasn't used to talking in English. So for about 6 months, until the moment I sort of could answer the phone without any problem. So that was a sign for me I was mostly fluent in English, or at least I could understand it and be understood over the phone when you don't see the person. So that was a big landmark for me. So they were having a word of the day every day for me. So we were sharing. I would give them the word of the day in French, and they would teach me one word per day for 6 months, and that helped me a lot to learn English. So today it's the word of the day in English, and it's nostopine. I hope it's pronounced that way. I forgot to have my computer say it for me, and I'm gonna stop right now, and I will write the word at some point when I say it again, but I will stop right now and listen, search how it's pronounced. Okay, so I was right to listen because it's nostopine. Okay, my pronunciation was wrong. Anyway, nostopine, I'm gonna write it here. It's a tool where that you can use to cake your yarn by hand. I'm using some kind of a cardboard, the inside of the kitchen towel paper, the cardboard tube inside of that. I'm using that to wind up in my yarn now, but it's kind of difficult on my hands. But anyway, Vincent Williams, he's Vesuvius Crafts on Instagram at least. He's in Atlanta, where I used to live. So he made a post on Instagram where he showed how he was using a nostopine. He has a very nice wooden one. I think at some point I will get one because it's a nice tool. It's a better tool than my cardboard roll. Anyway, the way he showed it on his Instagram, it's not really a tutorial, it was more of a demonstration, is that he rolls 5 times before he turns the nostopine. I was turning every time. So on my last cake I made, I used his method, and it was much easier, and the cake is very nice. And so thank you, Vincent, because for one, you taught me one word, and for 2, you showed me how to cake yarn by hand. And so I'm going to do that way now on 5 times because before I turn the roll. And third, with that word, I think I'm going to get one of these nice tools at some point during the year. I do not know when, but I looked around, I looked in Etsy, and I found some nice ones. So it's not very expensive. So I may purchase that at some point. Okay, so that was a very nice tip and demonstration. And now I'm going to talk about 3 YouTube episodes that I really enjoyed. And if you're watching my podcast, my videos, you are probably enjoying YouTube videos. So I'm going to recommend, maybe not recommend, or talk about 3 that have caught my attention for some reason or other reasons. So the first one is an interview that 21 Hat podcast had on changing the face of the yarn industry. I did not know about him. I did not know about his podcast. But that was a very, it's quite a long podcast. It's over an hour, a long interview. He had with Adela from Lola Bean Yarn Co. He had with Gigi, who needs to introduce her. And he had, with Felicia, Felicia Eve was a yarn store in New York. I think it's in Brooklyn, if I recall correctly, but I may be mistaken, so it may be elsewhere. Don't trust me, just listen to the podcast, and if I have time, I will re-listen to the podcast again and write it down where her yarn store is. Anyway, and another hour or hour and a half of very interesting, bright discussions, very, at the same time, interesting and sad stories, but these 3 ladies, they made it work. And they can be models for others. They give you food for thoughts, and it's a lesson of their life that can be, of their lives, that can be a lesson of life, just for everyone. So, and there's a lesson of, or a story of friendship. And I like to fill my day and fill my home and fill my thoughts with this kind of stories, rather than some hate stories that we can see right now. I'm not gonna talk about it because I don't want to make more publicity. They don't need me. I'm not saying that Adela, Eve, or Gigi need me at all, but I don't want to promote that. Anyway, I had decided. I watched the interview when it went out. It was two weeks ago, week and a half ago, or even maybe before that when I caught it. I had decided I was going to talk about that even before I knew about all the other events. So yes, I prefer to fill my head space and my life with that kind of feelings and interview and people. Good. The second video I would like to promote or talk about is one Selma from Little Big Knits. She has a very enjoyable podcast, and I'm sure you're already watching her and following her. And that one story that made me very happy. She released a pattern for a skirt. Good. It's not my kind of knitting, but whatever. And so she decided that the proceed of her pattern, what she would make with her pattern, selling her pattern, will go towards raising money for a charity. And I could not retrieve. I watched the podcast several times, and I could not retrieve if she said it or not, or I did not understand the name of the charity. Anyway, she raised money with her pattern, with her skirt pattern. And she raised $2,700, she said, which is really amazing, selling a pattern that was under $10, I think. This is what I like about this community. and I did not catch the event when she was selling the pattern, but seeing that so many people answered and for her bought the pattern for her to give money to the charity. She said she did it also the year before, and I think that's another kind of story I think it's better to fill our lives with. And please have a look at her podcast if you haven't already, because she's very enjoyable, and I like very much what she talks about. Okay, so another podcast, I've already talked about it, and about this series from La Bien-Aimée. La Bien-Aimée has her Nicknights. I followed the last two ones because they were on Friday nights. This one with Les Garçons was on a Wednesday night. I could not watch it on the spot, and I was waiting for it on the YouTube channel. I could not see it, and I could not see it. And then I understood why she delayed posting the video on YouTube, because there was a pattern they were talking about, and that was sort of, they were waiting on something about the pattern. Anyway, now it's live on the she put it last weekend, I think. She put it up, so now you can watch the video, and it's the Knit Night with Les Garçons, and about the yesteryear's pattern they designed for her worsted book. And once again, what I like very much is how she invites testers, the people who test the patterns, to talk about the pattern. That's a very unique thing, and it's, I've already said it, so I'm just gonna be repeating myself. Bringing the testers to the show, they are always never in the spotlights. The designers are in the spotlights, the people who create yarn are in the spotlights, not the test knitters. And bringing them in the Knit Night and interviewing them, who they are, where they are coming from, what is their relationship with designers. It's very, very interesting. It's another story of friendship and nice human relations. And, if you want to fill an hour or so of your life, maybe 2 hours of your life with nice people, nice talking, and nice feelings, well, then you can, check out the video, and I have heard of what they were saying. Okay, and when she was on the podcast, she she said she talked about the next Curry Confetti batch that is going to come out, not maybe in February, or not a long time. And okay, so as I'm on my no-buy year, I was afraid I was going to be once again very tempted about Curry Confetti, because the yellow one, I really wanted it, but I was not on a no-buy, but it's a bit more pricey, so I skipped it, but I still miss it. The gray one, I was over the roof for me. I really wanted it, I did not buy it. This one is not going to be too tempting to me, because it's a framboise color. Framboise is raspberry, so it's a very deep, dark, bright pink, between pink and almost violet, deep colors of violet and dark pinks, fuchsia, kind of, it's not a pink color, it's a very dark color in between pink and dark purple kind of hues. So it's not my kind of colors. I prefer blue, I prefer neutrals. I don't have pinks, I have almost no pinks in my wardrobes. I have the Fresh Pony Shoals. It's about the only one thing that has some pink hues in it. So anyway, I won't be tempted, but you may. I don't want to tempt you, but keep an eye open when she releases the next Curry Confetti batch. And another thing, I'm not sure they talked about it in the podcast, but I've seen it on their social accounts. Les Garçons are looking for an assistant, so of course you will have to be located at least in Montreal. But if this is of some, and I'm not sure the position is still available, but if you're interested, please contact them and find their socials, and you can contact them about that. Okay, my last news I would like to talk about is one that caught me by surprise and that caught me off balance in my no-buy year. It's Painting Shoals, the new book from Stephen West. I had not heard about it, so it caught me by surprise when it came out. And when it came out, I immediately wanted it, just because it's Stephen West's designs. Even though I haven't knitted much or many of his designs, I like very much his universe, and I just wanted the book just to have it. So I did not buy it. And when it was the end of January and we were reaching the end of the pre-sales, I said, okay, that can be my January buy, and it was out of stock. I do not know if there will be more reprints. Anyway, you now can buy the ebook online or individual patterns. I think there are 13 patterns for Shoals. I'm not sure you can buy them individually or if you have to buy the whole ebook. I think you can buy them individually. But anyway, I was caught by surprise. I was very frustrated. I could not pre-order it. I know I can get the ebook, but it's not the same. I like to have the books. So if you've watched, and I will attach it somewhere, my January check-in for my no-buy year, you will see that even though I did not get that book, I felt my frustration with buying another book. So buying book, it's okay. It's okay. But buying book just because I'm feeling frustrated I could not get the one, it's what brought me over the top with buying too much yarn and prompted me to start my no-buy year. So anyway, you can't, maybe you have already pre-ordered the book. Now you can't. The pre-sales are closed. But anyway, you can get the patterns on individually, or you can get the ebook. And it's a very joyful, very colorful universe from Stephen West. And I like all the color and joy he brings into my own life just by browsing his books. And I won't be able to do with that one unless I find it as a second hand, or if there are other reprints I can buy at some point. Okay, so that's it for today. I think I've talked about everything. I hope you had a nice and joyful moment for this about half hour with me, because we actively have to place happiness and nice things and nice people in our lives, because it's not gonna come all by itself automatically. And it's like our knitting, what stitch after one stitch. You can build happiness around you by selecting people and nice people to design patterns and talk about their lives. Okay, so Thank you for watching. I hope you will have a very nice week, a very nice knitting week, and I will see you next time.